Hello everyone, so today I'm going to be painting this beautiful bleeding heart flower plant in my sketchbook with watercolours. So I have been wanting to paint this for a while because about a couple of months, 2 months ago I think I bought some bleeding hearts. My mini project is to make my garden lovely, full of flowers and so I can attract bees and butterflies, and so it's all naturey. But this flower was kind of really inspirational to me. I don't know, I really wanted to paint it, so I went ahead and I finally got around to painting it. So the one that I'm painting is the one that I bought, and it's called the Valentine's variation because of its deep, dark, beautiful red. You can get a pink as well, which I think pink is quite, I don't know, I don't know, don't want to give misinformation because I am not really skilled in gardening. It's kind of new, so I don't want to spread misinformation here, but I think pink is more known maybe when you think of bleeding hearts, but I love the Valentine's red one. It really stuck out to me. The white one is beautiful. The white one's still very pretty. I just really liked the colour of the red one, so I thought I'd paint it. So I used Gambo sap green and indigo, and I mixed them around and played with them to get the background. So Gambo and sap green were to do the stems, and then I used an indigo to deepen and darken up the colour. And I guess it's kind of negative space, I don't know, maybe not, but I painted around the stems so they would stay sap green and the background would be darker, and I did wet and wet technique and kind of let the indigo where it wanted to, but I did manipulate it a little bit so it kind of went where I guided it to. I've also just realised I kind of spoke about what I was painting in the wrong order. So to do the rocks and kind of the soil, I didn't really do a sketch for that bit. I just kind of winged it with the soil and rocks. They don't look like soil, they don't look like rocks. I just did it to add something underneath the plant itself. And I just used, oh no, what did I use? In Not Van Dyke Brown, the other one, burnt umber, sorry. Burnt umber. I used burnt umber and indigo to make it darker, and I think I did use a bit of Van Dyke Brown, but I could be wrong, just to add a darker layer of colours into that bit of soil. But it was also wet and wet, so I kind of let it go where it wanted to. Now when it came to the flowers themselves, I had a plan to use Posca pen on them, my red Posca pen. So I knew I was going to be using a marker on top of them, not painting them watercolour because they're so small. Although I do have a tiny paintbrush, but I don't have a really bright red in the palette that I'm using. I only have a light red and it's not bright enough to match the flowers, how they look in real life. So I know I was using Posca pen, but I did try to use the background colour around the plant to paint around the flowers, so they stayed white. But I did end up giving up that plan because it was such a fine, small area that I ended up going over them anyway. So I just used a wet and lightly painted over them. But because I was using a Posca pen, obviously it didn't matter, which is why I was just like, oh, never mind. I won't paint around them. It's too finicky. I'll just paint over them, which I believe I do a little bit later, because at the moment I believe I'm still just adding more indigo and tweaking how the background looks. So while in the video of me painting this, it's just me tweaking the background, I'll take this time to ask, does any of you have any bleeding hearts in your garden? When I brought mine home, I was really worried that it was broken or not going to grow well, because when I was transporting it home, some of the stems broke off, and it looks like a very delicate flower just because of the way it flowers. I don't know, because I don't know, to me it just looked very fragile, but it's actually really bloomed. It's actually grown really quite big, so I was super happy about that because I've always wanted a bleeding heart plant. So in the painting, I did also use a bit of a splatter technique, you'll just see, and I also think this is actually the point where I decided to just paint over the sketch of the flowers that I talked about earlier. I talked about this in the wrong order, but I got there in the end. And now finally we are moving on to starting to actually use the Posca pen to do the bleeding hearts. And you'll notice how small of a sketch they are, so I'm very glad that I chose to use a Posca pen, otherwise this would have been very difficult. And I'm also very glad that the Posca pen that I have are the smaller bullet tip ones and not the big chunky ones. If they were the chunky ones, I would have had great difficulty trying to fill them in. I then used my white Posca pen to do the white bit on the flower, because if you look up a picture of a bleeding heart flower, they had the white bit at the bottom, but again, because it was so small, I ended up using a Posca pen to just basically put that detail in. And then I did very carefully flick my Posca pen onto my page to get some little white splatters, and then I pretty much finished the painting. I love how this turned out. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye. Hello everyone. So today